So, enough about that goals project on which we worked over the last lectures. I prepared a brand new project for you, and you find the snapshot attached. And you should therefore download that attached project snapshot, run npm install to install all dependencies, and then npm start to start the development server. And once you did that, if you visit localhost 3000, you should see this website here. And the idea behind this demo application here is that we have a list of locations which can be clicked by the user, and when a location is clicked, it should be added to this list of dream locations. And then in the future, I also want to make sure that we can remove locations from there. And that's therefore what we'll implement together. And to do that, we'll need some features we already learned about, and we'll need some new features. Now in this project I attached, you'll see that I already defined some routes. And one thing I did here is that I outsourced these HTML snippets, which are still stored as strings, but I did outsource them in functions in separate files in the views folder. That's just something to note. And I will now actually start with those location items, those list items, which are these list items here in that grid. And I want to make sure that when we click on one of these list items, so when this button here is clicked, that I send a post request to this route here, and that I then identify that item and add it to this array of interesting locations, so that then as a next step, it's that array of interesting locations that's used to populate this first box of dream locations here. So we'll need to return that new list item that should be added to those dream locations here, to this unordered list, in this post places route. That's what I want to start with. Now to make sure that we can add places, I'll go to the location.js file where I have this button, and I now want to send a post request with help of the hxPost attribute, about which you already learned in this course. Now previously, we always used that on form elements, but you're not limited to that. You can use all these HTMX attributes on any elements you want. So I can also add this hxPost attribute on a button, so that this button will trigger a post request. Now I still need to define the target route, and in my case that's /places. So that due to this attribute here, a post request will be sent to this route. Now here's one tricky thing about this approach though. This route needs the ID of the location that should be added to this interesting locations array. And I'm trying to extract that from the incoming request body. Now, as mentioned, up to this point, we always used hxPost on forms. And these forms included inputs, and those input values were automatically added to the HTTP request. Now here, I don't have a form though, I don't have inputs, so out of the box, this post request wouldn't carry any value. It would have an empty request body, and therefore trying to extract that location ID would fail.